Nefisa Hamidou. She is our Head of Sales and Business Development, and Mr. Adeyemi Ajayi. He's also the facilitator, HR expert, risk manager, top 150 HR experts in the world. And we're so lucky to have him here with us today. Before we commence, I want to just put out a few gentle reminders. Please mute yourself so we don't interrupt the speaker or to interrupt other participants. And I want you to remember that if you have any questions, there'll be a Q&A session at the end, which will last for 30 minutes. So raise up your hand and we will unmute you and you'll have a chance to ask your question, and then we'll be able to answer them. And because we are very punctual attendees, please, I want you to remember to keep all your questions short. And if you have any comments or feedback, there will be a feedback form shared at the end of the webinar. And if you have any pressing matters or you can't hear, we're going to share the minutes of the meeting as well as the recorded version of the webinar for your use. So before we move forward, I want to introduce, sorry, I'm just checking if there's new people here, but I want to introduce our moderator for the day, Mrs. Nefisa Hamidou, and she'll carry on from there. Thank you very much and enjoy the webinar.
Thank you very much, Habiba, for this.
Thank you.
Good afternoon once again, everyone. I know new people have joined. Thank you so much for attending this webinar. I hope it will be an insightful one for all of you. Quickly, I'll just, sorry, I just wanna, okay. So I just want to quickly introduce ITM services to you before we carry on with the training. So ITM Nigeria Limited is part of a Pan-African group of companies founded in 2011 in Democratic Republic of Congo. We have our 7 country offices in South Africa, Rwanda, Tanzania, Angola, Nigeria, and Germany. Our services span across human resource solutions, sales and distribution solutions, supply chain and industry solutions. Basically now for what we do is we focus on the human resource solutions here in Nigeria. So for starters, I will take the e-learning quickly. So our ITM's e-learning platform has a range of courses that covers different sectors. These courses can be taken at your own pace once you register. We also conduct live sessions for our tailored courses per organization's needs. Please do not forget to log onto our e-learning platform, which will be shared to you after this session. So maybe you might find something that interests you. Also, our staff trainings and capacity building programs, we offer in-class trainings both locally and internationally for public and private sectors. We have a pool of experienced facilitators with vast knowledge from all over the world. For our recruitment, the service is divided into 2. We have the e-recruitment where we conduct everything virtually from assessments, interviews, trainings, and onboarding. We also have in-house recruitment where all these processes are done in our office and the client's office. For our staff outsourcing, ITM outsource staff for companies in all sectors. We hire and manage those staff. We assign KPIs, we monitor productivity and conduct appraisals for all the staff. We do this for companies that don't have in-house HR, and then companies that want to outsource a particular department to us. For instance, if you want to outsource your marketing department to us, we have sales, what we call the sales army that we manage and then to boost productivity. So lastly, we have the company restructuring. We structure and restructure for other companies. This product is mostly for companies that don't have a proper corporate structure or are worried that their staff are not performing as expected. What we do is we come in and take a needs assessment. We assess if their staff are qualified for the positions that they are holding. We assess their job description. We train the staff so as to boost productivity. We also do team building and retreat activities. So my country manager has already introduced the trainer. I'll allow him to do that himself once again before he starts. But I just want to run through onboarding tips for this session for all of you that are here. Please, number one, I want you guys to get a writing pad. This is really important so that you can take down the important points that you've learned. We also advise you to get some water and something to munch on across the session. Please kindly turn off your audio when you're not speaking, and then ensure you get a comfortable chair. This session is going to last for 1 hour, 30 minutes. The whole training itself will be for 1 hour, and then we're going to take some Q&A sessions quickly to round up the session by 4:30. So over to you, Mr. Yemi. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Nafisa. I'll be glad if you enable me to share.
All right, sorry, let me just do that right away.
Okay, thank you so much, Nafisa. Good to see you again. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Adeyemi Ajayi. I'll just show my face briefly. I believe some of you can see my face very briefly. Not looking too good. Okay. How are you, Habiba? Okay. So straight up, sorry, I like to turn off the camera, so that we all concentrate. Okay. So if you can hear me, can I see yes in the chat room? If you can hear me, just say yes in the chat room. Okay.
Yes.
You can hear me. Okay. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. Thank you. Now,
Yes, I hear you.
straight to the discussion. Virtual work is, fast becoming. Okay, we've gone through the slides. Okay, we've gone through this. This is about me. Virtual work is the new normal. It's something that is going to continue for as long as you can think about work. So virtual work has come to stay. Virtual work is the new thing. Virtual work is the new normal. And virtual work is what you can't do without. So, but then there are some things we need to put in place when it comes to virtual work, but we need to understand some concepts with virtual work. So my colleague has explained this to you, so I need to move straight. Now, when we're done with this discussion today, first I want to thank ITM for giving me this opportunity to come on this platform. ITM has been a very wonderful firm. They've done a lot in terms of training, both in the private and the public sector. So I am so happy being here. So when we're done with this discussion today, I expect everyone here on this call to understand virtual work, virtual workplace, and virtual workforce. Also, there's need to understand what it takes to design a virtual work, and also understand the policy and provisions of a virtual work and how to manage challenges and crises at a virtual workplace. Again, how do we achieve optimum productivity is very important, and employee engagement. This is a new normal for many people. Some people are already saying they want to get back to the physical office. And I told them, I say, oh, sorry, the world has moved past that. So when the new world, learn how to work virtually. Okay, today I was part of the induction of CIPM, Chartered Institute of Personnel Management of Nigeria, where over 700 people were inducted virtually. This is the first time I am participating, and it has been quite a wonderful experience. Now, when we're done with this discussion also, I expect everyone to be able to drive effective employee performance with virtual work management. Now, what are the concepts of virtual work, virtual workplace, and virtual workforce? It's important that we all know that our work has changed. Our workplaces have changed and the workforces have changed. Many of us are listening to me from your house. And I can tell you, if you look at my background, I'm interacting with you somewhere in my house. Ordinarily, I would have been at one studio, in one office, but this is my office, okay? So I have office in my house now, and I believe many of you too, you have offices in your house. I recall one of the virtual meetings where a young man was wearing singlet, and the boss said, "Hey, go and wear your," he said, "Why?" Why do I have to dress like I'm going to office? Okay, we're going to be talking about that later. And I'm going to be getting a lot of interactions from you in terms of question and answer. Now, this is the old way. This is what we were used to. Every one of us would go to office. I am so happy I've not been in traffic for many months. You know, going to the island, it's crazy. It used to be very, very crazy. I leave my house 5 a.m. I get to the island 5:30. I don't leave island until 11 p.m. every day. It's crazy. And you spend 4 or 5 hours in traffic of your productive life. And that is very, very crazy. Very, very crazy. But this is the new way. I mean, I don't go to the office anymore. Like I'm talking to most of you. We're all spread across different geographical locations, but we're listening to ourselves. We're achieving purpose. That is the new normal. That is the virtual thing we're talking about. Again, the truth is this. This has come to stay. Many organizations, they've set frameworks, they've set standards, and say, you know what? Some have even started thinking about selling their assets. Some have started selling their assets. But I want to ask you a question, and I want your response quickly on the chat room. Do you think we will all go back to offices anymore? Do you think so? Do you think we'll all be going back to the physical office anymore? Let me hear you from the chat room, please. Let me hear you from the chat room.
Okay.
Let me hear you from the chat room, please. Just chat. You don't need to speak, please, so we don't interrupt. Thank you. Okay. Okay. Not everyone will go back to the office. Okay. Now, let me tell you the truth. We will not all go back to work. The best that will happen is that we're going to have a flexible work. You know, many people will still continue to work virtually because we're going to look at the impact on organizations and all that. Okay. So fast forward, with COVID-19, so many things have happened. You know, there are many considerations with respect to virtual work. We're asking ourselves, how long will this virtual work last? Maybe forever. And again, who will approve virtual work and flexible work? Okay. Definitely your management will start looking at all the possibilities of this virtual work and flexible work. Again, who bears the cost of internet? Let me ask you before I go on, it's very interactive session. I'm sorry, my own webinar style is not somebody talking from one corner and everybody's keeping quiet. We interact. Let me ask you, in terms of the money you spent on internet, has it increased or decreased in the past 3 months? Let me hear you from the chat room. The money you spend on internet, or I mean on data, has it increased or decreased in the past 3 months? Anybody?
It has multiplied. Okay.
It has gone so crazy. You know, if I tell you the amount I spend on my data, you will scream. Okay, you will scream. I mean, relatively now, I spend almost between 60 to 80,000 on data every month. That's the truth, because I have multiple data to work with every month. And that is crazy. Okay, so I mean, I have 4 devices. They are all on unlimited. Okay, so you know, you have sometimes that the internet messes you up, throws you out, you know. Okay, so in a minute, I want to ask you, do you think this cost will continue to rise? Let me see you from the chat room. Do you think this cost will continue to rise? Now, how many of us are aware that the federal government are looking at, crashing the prices for data? Okay. So now let's ask ourselves one question. Organization, this cost of internet has shifted from organization to you. We'll be talking about that later. Okay. And again, who is eligible to work virtually? We'll come to workforce segmentation later today. We'll be talking about some employees. For example, your drivers cannot work virtually. That's the truth. You can't say the driver should be at home and he should be driving you. People on your production shop floor, you can't ask them to be at home and they'll be doing production for you. No. So we're going to look at workforce segmentation. And again, let's ask ourselves this question. Should employees be paid in full? Okay. Should employees' salary be slashed because of, this virtual work? So what about employee doing private practice? Do you think it's possible? And what happens to situation where employees are required to do something quite urgent in the office? So what are the likely breaches? So we'll be talking about all this, and these are very important. Please don't forget, if you have any question, put up your question in the chat room, please. Please put up your questions in the chat room. And somebody asks, employees should be paid data allowance. But excuse me, Eunice, you're not being paid transport fare. You'll be paid transport fare. At the same time, you'll be paid data allowance. Okay? So many of the organizations are looking into this. So let's look at what this discussion will turn out to be later. Now, what is virtual work? Virtual work can be the work that you can do outside your professional workspace. I mean, the work you do remotely, the work that is driven by technology, so to say, and the work that is designed to be done anywhere without compulsion of specific location. Okay, we call it soft work, the work that is quite very flexible, the work that is quite interactive. Okay, work that does not require physical presence. This is virtual work. Okay. Now, example of virtual work are the work like HR can be a virtual work. You can do virtual recruitment, you can do virtual performance management, appraisal, and all that. You can do virtual induction of employees. You can do virtual onboarding, okay? But there's some work, if you get to the production shop floor, their works are not virtual. They have to be on the production shop floor. They have to produce, they have to handle materials. If you have people in your logistics, they have to be physically there, to pick items and all that. Okay. So I want us to give example of the works that are virtual and non-virtual. I've given you example from my end. Can you give me example, please? So what has the income got to do with being physically present? Okay, we'll talk about that. Please repeat your questions later so that we can attend to it. Please to type in the chat room, please. Just chat in the chat room. Please. So let's give an example of works that can be compulsorily virtual and those that cannot be virtual. Okay, you can chat that in the chat. You can keep that in the chat room. Okay, e-recruitment is virtual. Team meetings can be very virtual. Okay, recruitment can be virtual. Thank you, Babatunde. E-training, yeah, very virtual. E-learning, very virtual. And things like doctor's work, you cannot do it virtually. You have to go there for them to give you injection. Okay, police work cannot be virtual. Board meetings are virtual. Some IT work are virtual, some are not virtual. Okay, so we need to start looking at which work are virtual, which work are not virtual. So in our organizations, let's start breaking this down. At this time, let's start breaking it down. Which work are virtual, which work are not virtual. So you list all the job roles and list the works they do and start classifying whether they are virtual or not. This will lead us to essential and non-essential workers, which is what we're going to talk about next. We also have virtual workplace. A virtual workplace is any work area outside your traditional mortar and brick work area, anywhere. Like my workplace now that I'm talking to you is my house. Okay, so a workplace now becomes quite very mobile. I want to tell you, sometimes last week I was on a journey and I was doing a training for CIPN. Didn't know I was on a journey. My driver was driving and I was there running the training. Okay? Your home can be your workplace now, your holiday location, your out of town location, anywhere and everywhere where you have access to communicate, leverage on technology. So virtual workplace must be equipped with tools and devices for effective communication. You know, if you don't have this, it becomes lost workplace. Okay, please can we mute please, Nafisa, can you mute everybody? Please, can you mute everybody?
I've done that, Mr. Yemi. You can carry on.
Okay, thank you very much. So a virtual workplace becomes anywhere you can work and can also communicate. Now, virtual workforce are set of employees that have the mindset and the capability to work from location outside the traditional workplace. These are virtual workers, okay? Now, the truth is not all employees will fall into that bucket. Employees who are categorized into these virtual workforces are not necessarily going to be physically present at the work location. Okay, this is a change from the traditional workforce, and something must be properly designed to enable people work virtually. So all employees may not be working virtually, and that is the truth. Okay, so there's need to separate employees that can work virtually and those that cannot work virtually. This is what now leads to what we call a new name, essential workers. I'm sure many of you have heard about essential workers, non-essential workers. The only thing that makes it essential is because you need to be physically present at the work location. It doesn't mean your work is more important than another person's work. No. Okay? So that is one thing I want us to have at the back of our mind. The fact that they say, oh, you are non-essential staff does not mean you are unimportant staff. You may be non-essential, but very important. Okay, so let's put that at the back of our mind. Now, about virtual and flexible work, they are not the same. Virtual work is working outside your office premise, whereas flexible work is you're doing the work, but you have flexible time of coming to work, and you also have flexible days of going to work. I just want to lay this foundation. You know, when we're done, I believe ITM is going to share this material with you. So the essence of understanding this is some organizations are going to blend this virtual work and flexible work, meaning there will be days that you need to go to work, but you agree the flexibility of your time, you agree the flexibility of your days. In fact, let me tell you, some offer letters already have this included in them. I have a sample of that offer letter. I mean, I can share with you if you're interested in having that offer letter. I can send it to Nafisa to share with you. It contains all this new normal. Now, what is the impact of this virtual work on employees? Let me ask you one question, every one of you here, and I'll be glad to have your response. Okay, especially for those of us working virtually. What has been the impact on you so far? Let me hear you from the chat room. What has been the impact on you so far, this virtual work? If you've been working virtually, what has been the impact? Let me hear from you. Let's talk in the chat room, please. Let me hear from you. Work-life balance, productivity has increased, longer hours, improved time management and discipline. Absolutely. Absolutely. You work alone. Wow. That's the truth. Productivity decreased at the beginning, but what's the productivity now? Dockers. Increased productivity. Requires more to develop working from the office. Absolutely. I realize the telephone is really a performance tool. Absolutely, Yannick. Okay. Better work-life balance. I'm going to be talking about this work-life balance. Also quite interesting. Okay. Initially boring, now interesting, increasing productivity, Okay, boundaries of work life is more blurry. Really? Okay. So Nigeria don't allow people work from home because of power. Improve teamwork. People are buying generator Xyla. Improve teamwork. Someone said, I do not have a better work-life balance. Oh, bimbo. Okay, let's look at the impact, the social impact. Some of the social impact is coping with domestic and official demands. It's terrible now. Coping with official demand and domestic demand. That tells you that you have your official obligations and you have your domestic activities to attend to. It's becoming a big challenge. Now, people are closer to family physically, but they may not have full attention for the family. I don't know if you agree with me. You are home with your family, but you don't have full time for the family. And you have restricted allowance for visitation. I mean, work will not make you to go and visit people, will not allow people to come and visit you because they are busy at their end. You are also busy at your own end. Okay? And if you're not careful, you have poor social interactions with family and friends. They see you, but you are not there. You are physically present, but they can't feel the social impact. That is the truth. So visit to social events is limited, meaning okay, sorry, I don't know what happened. I was accidentally muted. Okay, so you have visits to social events that is limited, especially the Yoruba people. They take Ashwebi, go to party, dance, all those things are not there anymore, okay? And again, if you're not careful, Zoom is chasing you everywhere, okay? Chasing you everywhere, you know. I can tell you, Zoom will continue to chase you. Let me ask. Okay, okay, thank you. So there are a lot of things that have been happening with webinar, and webinar will continue to chase you, will chase you and chase you and chase you. So it's just the beginning of chasing. Okay, this is the social impact. Let's look at the financial impact. You spend less on transport. Am I correct? You spend less on transport, but you spend more on domestic needs. Do I have a witness? Anybody? You spend less on transport, you spend more on domestic needs. And let me tell you, more of this thing you spend on domestic needs, you don't even enjoy them. You spend it for the family. That's the truth. Okay? And again, for those that have access to soft loans from colleagues, I mean, such things are no more there anymore. So you need to have a manageable budget and a very good lifestyle. So that is the financial impact on you. So your spending are now on necessity. You don't go, I mean, you don't need Gucci bag to do hush puppy around. You don't need a Gucci bag. You don't need a Thomas Hermes bag, because you're not taking it out now. So you have to live within a very conservative lifestyle because of financial impact on you. Okay? What is the emotional impact? The emotional impact is, for example, you have webinar fatigue. I don't know, a lot of times people get after webinar. I've had almost 5 webinars already today. And I can tell you, I still have 2 more before the end of today. And again, I mean, you're so tensed and pressured to deliver at home and at work. It creates emotional, issue for you. Now, some people have mood swings. Okay, there are mood swings, and again, you have mild depression. People go on, they get depressed, and loneliness are setting for some people. And now this is the time that some people are doing self-awareness. They are discovering themselves. Like myself, I discovered myself and I told myself I have to go on a weight loss journey. Okay, you do self-exploration, your intellectual capability, you do that. Now, what are the impact on organization? So let me ask you, what are the impact of this virtual work on organization? Let me hear you from the chat room. What have you seen as impact of this virtual work on organizations? So let me hear from you in the chat room. What are the impact you have seen on organizations? Let me hear you from the chat room, please. Passive aggression, okay. Internet become an excuse, lower cost, okay. Okay. Okay, let me hear more from us. Let me hear more from you. What do you think are the impact on organizations? Okay. Okay, more content were created. Taiwo, I do not understand this. Okay. Okay. Now, let's look at the financial impact on organization. There is less operational cost. Organization don't spend on diesel, you are the one spending on diesel in your house. They are spending less on internet, you're the one spending on internet. They are spending less on cleaning in the office, you're the one spending on that in your houses. Okay? And they have assets that are getting wasted. The seats in the office are no longer necessary because nobody's sitting on them. Okay? And again, financial resource allocation is weak. Okay, maybe weak for some organization. I mean, their revenue generation may be a challenge. Most organizations are not generating revenue the way they used to generate. Liquidity management is also a big challenge for organization, and there are serious uncertainties around financial plans for many organizations. But let me hear your experience. What has been the experience in your organization? Let me hear the experience from your organization, please. Can you share experience in terms of finance in your organization? 1 minute. I don't know why this thing keep muting me. Reduction in salaries, financial impact, low income generation. This is what many organizations are facing. New revenue product lines were developed to meet with revenue expectations. Okay, now let's now look at the business impact. Employees' loyalty may not be guaranteed because the employees you are not paying very well may start looking out somewhere.
Sorry, Mr. Yemi, your microphone has gone on mute again.
Okay, yeah.
I don't know
I don't know why it's going mute. You are muting. Okay, maybe because I'm not the host. Okay.
You're a co-host now. I think you should be able to unmute yourself.
Okay. Oh,
Thank
okay.
you.
Okay. Thank you. So, in terms of business impact, there's change in work culture. This has to come in clearly. People have to be more engaged, and work tools have to be provided more for people to work. There's also need to enhance employees' tax management in terms of business to make sure employees are doing what they ought to do. And many operations are going virtual. Activities are going virtual, meetings are going virtual, even meeting clients are going virtual. Many organizations are doing telemarketing. And again, they are doing business deals online, okay? Weak revenue assurance for businesses. I think we talked that under revenue. Now, how do you manage virtual workplace? How do you manage this? It is the difficulty of many organizations. But let's start looking at some basic concepts. First, the concept would be to set up proper guidelines. Sorry, I wanted to say proper guidelines, not a proper guideline. Okay. Now, what proper guideline do you need? You need a guide. You need guidelines to drive effectiveness and efficiency of your process end to end. You also need to ensure consistency in your entire process. Meaning your processes are quite very, very consistent, and definitely it will cause disruption in the mind of people. Many people that are used to physical filing and all that, they are going to be facing that challenge of automation, virtual interaction. Some may not be happy about it, but that is the new normal. Nobody has that choice to change. Okay. Another guideline you should put in place is how to monitor productivity and performance. This guideline is very, very important. You also need guidelines to promote culture of commitment and drive excellence at work. Though people are not physically present at work, they should be very productive. And the culture of your organization should remain the way it is. And again, you should ensure that the work-life balance is encouraged. Bimbo said work-life balance is not assured. I mean, I don't know the way she put it. But many people have said that work-life balance is an ox under this virtual work. Meaning people don't even have work, they don't have life. They have work, but they don't have life anymore. I mean, and again, you should put guidelines around driving employee motivation. What do you do to drive employees' motivation? You also need to put guidelines to promote effective workforce segmentations. I mean, so that
Sorry, I think his microphone has gone on mute again. Mr. Emi, please unmute yourself. Sorry, everyone. I think his network must have gone off. Just give him a minute. He'll come back soon. Sorry for the break in transmission. I will just share the document he was sharing already so we can, sorry, just give me a second. So before he comes back, I would like to welcome all the new people that joined. Okay, Mr. Emi is back. Sorry for that.
I'm so sorry. My internet threw me out. I'm so sorry. That's the challenge we face. Apologies.
Mr. Emi, no problem.
One of the guidelines you should also put in place is to ensure that you have a system in place and processes in place to run a lean operations in your organization. So sorry that I was thrown out. Now, there are things you need to consider for this virtual or flexible work. Number one is eligibility of employees. Which employee is eligible to work virtual, which can be working flexi. You also need resource optimization. You need resources to support employees for virtual work. And this is where many employees are getting frustrated. Many are spending their money on diesel, on lots of things, and they're not getting any result back. You also need to consider data and information management, the data and information you exchange. There should be data protection now. You also need to set performance metrics in place for individuals and all that. And again, cost implication is very, very important for everything you're going to do because many organizations will want to be managing their costs. Organizational culture should also be infused into whatever we do. Sorry that I'm a bit fast because of the time. We also need to look at industry peculiarities. There are some industries that now the level of safety has been highly enhanced. I wanted to enter through an office today. I put sanitizer in my hand like 3 or 4 times. And I told myself, if this sanitizer will not peel my skin, okay? So these are things we should put in place, even the guiding policies. I have a virtual work policy. I can share with Nafisa. Nafisa can share with you for free. That is from me to you all, okay? Okay. Now, let's look at the challenges people face with virtual work, okay? Some of the challenges people face are quite very high. Yeah. So challenges with virtual work or flexible work is quite enormous. For example, lack of enough resources. Many employees do not have enough resources to work, okay? And it becomes frustrating. In fact, I will tell you from my research, many employees are spending their money for their organization now, okay? They are spending their money for their organization. Now, let me ask you, what has been your personal challenge? Let me hear from you in the chat room. What has been your personal challenge? Tell me your personal challenge. Let me hear from you in the chat room.
Mr. Emi, please check your mute. I think you are on mute once again. I think his internet has gone off once again. So sorry about that. Before he comes back, I would like to welcome all the other guests that are here that didn't meet the introduction. We welcome you and we are really happy to have you on this webinar. I will try and share the document myself so that once he's back, it will just We will continue from where we stopped. Okay, Mr. Yemi is back. Mr. Yemi, you can unmute yourself now.
Okay, can you hear me, please?
Yes, we can.
Okay, so sorry. You have to manage this with me. Okay.
So I just shared the screen. You can take it up from there.
Oh, okay. I don't know what to do.
Can you see my screen?
Yes, let me share the screen from here.
Okay, okay.
Okay, thank you so much, Nafisa.
Mm.
Okay, so sorry with this serious challenge. What are the possible challenges with flexible work? Like I mentioned so far, you can have things around reluctance on the part of employees to complete tasks. You can have employee disengagement, okay, especially now that salaries are being cut. Employees can be so disengaged, so disgruntled that they may not want to put in their best, okay? Again, it's also important to note that lack of commitment of employee can come up because it seems they're not getting value. Bimbo said lack of understanding of how remote work should be handled by both. Exactly. Many organizations don't understand that. But I just want to announce, Nafisa did not mention that. ITM helps organizations to develop virtual work architecture and framework. So ITM, I'm doing marketing on your behalf, okay?
Thank you,
So,
Mr. Yemi.
yeah, I know they have projects running on that. So they do for big organizations, small organization, medium scale organization. So there's need to drive communication strategy. We'll get to some point, we're going to talk about that shortly. Again, one of the challenges will be cultural dilution and cyber insecurity, especially during transfer of data. I know because of security, many organizations have gone to use so many other platforms. And it's also possible that people miss deadlines under this condition, that people miss a lot of deadlines. Now, I'm running very fast. Now, there are impacts on compensations and benefits. We have some organizations, because of virtual work, the business owners will cut people's salary and say you are not getting full benefits. Some will say, okay, you are going to get full benefits. But now, let me ask you a question. Which one would you vote for? Full benefits or non-full benefits for employees doing virtual work? Which one would you anticipate for? The full benefit or non-full benefit? Okay, Adisa said non-full benefits. Somebody, Ines said full benefits. Okay, let's hear from others. Non-full benefits. Okay, non-full benefits. Now, let me be honest with you. Organizations are, we will still give some values. Now, let me be very honest with you, and I'm speaking from both ends. The truth is, if we're to be working based on number of hours, and your employer now said, okay, you know what? If you're working for 8 hours, you now be working for 4 hours. Do you think you still deserve full benefit? Do you think you still deserve that? And again, we need to look at affordability for the for employers. Okay? So I think to a large extent it's unfair on the part of employers. What I advise people now, if you have pay cuts, seek for other ways of generating revenue. That's the truth. Seek for alternative way of generating revenue. So some virtual work are exclusive, some are non-exclusive. Exclusive in the sense that, the fact you're working with me means that you cannot work for any other person. Okay? You cannot work for any other organization during your virtual work. But I know some organization that will tell you that, hey, you can work for any other organization, even as you're doing virtual work with me. So meaning you can generate more money. And who tells you that people are not working for other organizations to generate money, whether you give them permission or not? So what is virtual work design? Some of the things you should put in place, especially for flexible work, is health conditions. There's more awareness about health and safety. So that will even make you to have what we call rotational workforce, okay? Where people will not be coming to work, every day, maybe 3 times in a week. You rotate them the way they come to work. And again, nature of work is very important to allow for either flexibility or virtual work. Resource adequacy is also very, very important. There are instances where organizations are not providing resources for employees. And I think that is not fair on the part of employees. And that can make employees get demotivated. Again, there's needs to manage politics because a lot of political interplay will come to favor some people and not to favor some people. Okay, so this is one of the things that organizations should consider. And again, women that are in maternity situations, you can't tell them anymore that, hey, you have to be on maternity leave just 1 year, 2 years. And, since they are working from home, they can take maternity leave as much as every year, in as much as the work is being done. Now, the question is, even with virtual work, if a woman is in maternity leave, do you think she should work? Let me hear from you. Do you think even while a woman is on maternity leave, working virtually, in quotes, do you think she should work in the real sense? I don't know if you understand my question. She's on maternity leave. She's your marketer. Do you think while she's nursing a baby, she should still work? Yeah, unless she wants to. Yeah, Joseph said something. We'll get to that place where people look at deliverable. Micromanaging is gone. Okay? Now, all these are very important. Okay? So the level of work you load on people on maternity leave should not be considered necessary anymore. And again, you need to manage mental health of people at workplace. People are going crazy nowadays. Okay, you need to help them. There should be sessions where you discuss about mental health. And again, you look at the peak and low periods of operation. Where you have low periods of operation, you don't necessarily need people to work. Let them take free time and enjoy themselves. Okay, it's very, very important. You also need, in terms of designing flexi or virtual work, you need to look at business directions. It's very, very important. Okay, now let's move forward. This is part of the policy I want to share with you. It's already drafted policy. So please, Nafisa, do not forget. I want to share first, please, someone should remind me, this virtual work policy. I think that's the only one I can remember. And I think this material that we're discussing here. Am I correct, Nafisa?
Yes, Mr. M.
Okay.
In the PowerPoint and then the virtual work policy. You will send it to me. I will attach it on the mail that will be sent out.
Okay. So, on behalf of ITM, you are having that. Okay. Now, let's quickly get to the real business. How do you manage virtual workforce? Very important. You may need to reschedule. Okay. I also promised to send a copy of offer letter. Don't forget, Nafisa, please remind me. A copy of offer letter. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay,
so how do you manage virtual workforce? You may need to redesign people's work schedule. That's the truth. You may need to redesign, the people's work schedule in terms of the frequency of coming to work, their job description, and if possible, you need to look at their KPIs, key performance indicators. It's very, very important because it's not the way it used to be. You need to look at workload. You need to look at convenience for employees. This is very, very important. And this is a whole project on its own. You also look at how you can plan virtual and flexible work for your workforce. It's very important. Look at the entire workforce you have, 100. Who are those that should be working virtually? Who are those that should have flexible work? Who are those that should not have? You need to put all this into consideration. Then you design effective communication strategy. Like how frequent should people report? Send in their report. How frequent should people work? You need to do all those things. Then in terms of resources, you need to deliver resources for effective job delivery. This is very, very, very important. You need to design these resources and make sure that people have access to the resources to work. Then you strengthen employee engagement. You know, employee engagement is making people to do what they ought to be doing. So how do you strengthen this? You ensure that when people have tasks, you set timelines for them to achieve it. And let me tell you the truth, employee engagement has been more strengthened now more than ever before. I don't know if you agree with me. Because so many people, I run meetings into 9, 10, 11 p.m., 12 a.m. And I just ask myself, before, by the time you work 9 to 5, you get home, you just shut down and sleep. But now you have webinar 6 a.m., you run it up to like 12 a.m. at night. In fact, without saying much, you know that people are really engaged. Okay? Another thing is to improve employees' experience. Give your employees good experience. It's not about the work alone. You should consider their lives also. You should consider the joy they derive. You should give them a very wonderful experience. Let me tell you one that may interest you. There is a company here in Lagos at Oregon. So we had the kind of a discussion with them, with the head of the HR, and they wanted to wow their employees. So they bought parfait and bread and sent to about 100 employees to be delivered in their home. Without those employees, you know, they didn't tell them ahead. They just bought those items, sent to them, and delivered it to their houses. And these employees were they were extremely happy. I mean, that's giving them experience. And some, it may just be recharge card. I know a capital market operator that sent a call card of 500 naira, not 5,000, 500 naira to all its staff, about 20 of them. They were very happy. It's an experience. And some, it may just be you give them a call. How are you doing? Okay? Those are the ways you can manage this workforce to deliver value. These are the ways you can draw them closer to you, even if they're physically out of your range. Don't also forget, please, this next point is very, very important. Manage people's tasks and not their personal lives. Please, we should emphasize on this. Many managers want to know what is happening in the lives of people, even working virtually. I heard of a manager that was asking his staff that, where are you? That one said, oh, I came to market with my family. He said, should you be in the market or you should be at home on your laptop? Hello? Have you given him or her work that he or she hasn't done? I mean, that is micromanaging, okay? What you should focus on is assignments to people if they've been able to achieve it. There's none of your business, whether they worked in the market, whether they worked in the toilet, inside their car, or anywhere. It's none of your business. Have you done the job? Yes. And move on, straight. You don't have to bother your brain about where they are doing it from. So please manage people's tasks, not their personal lives. And I think people are getting into people's personal lives. And say, oh, your children are crying in the background. Tell them to shut up. It's your boss that is talking to you. Hello. You can even send the mail without bothering yourself. And the person gets the mail, does the work, get back to you, and everybody is fine. So micromanaging will not be the way to manage virtual workforce. If you want to micromanage at this time, you will fail as a boss. That is the truth. It's the easiest road to failure. You will fail. And again, you should design productivity and performance monitoring strategies. This is very, very important. How productive are your employees? What are the KPIs you expect from them weekly, monthly, quarterly? Set it out clearly. Once you set it out, even if that employee is not meeting that KPI, you have a responsibility to coach. You have a responsibility to teach. You have a responsibility to motivate. You have a responsibility to push people to achieve what they have to achieve. This is the time we should be more humanizers than ever before. Okay? I said humanizers, not womanizers. Get me straight. This is the time that we should be more humane than ever before. when you are monitoring people's productivity, get closer to them. Let me tell you, a lot of people are going through depressions, even staying at home. So this is the time to, to show empathy. This is the time to make sure that you engage them. Okay? Let me run fast. Again, train your employees on emerging skills, especially social skills. Skills are changing. Skills are changing. They are changing very, very fast. Recently, we had a training on the skills that have changed in HR. There are 20 new skills in HR that have changed. They are just new, 20. And, research has shown that people who don't have this skill in the next 2, 3, 4 years in HR, they will not be relevant anymore. Okay? Also, to manage workforce, conduct employee satisfaction survey. See how they are satisfied on their job. Okay, get feedback from them, engage them. Make sure that the engagement is meaningful on both sides. And ensure that your virtual communication, if you do virtual communication as much as possible. Okay, Taufik said, virtual employee at times fear certainty of their job. That is the truth. You need to give them assurance of their jobs. Because, when they are virtual, engage them, engage employees, talk to them often. If they don't hear from you at times, it may create fear, okay? So this is a time that even when you're engaging external stakeholders, do it virtually. So you train your employees to know how to do virtual interactions with customers. Very, very important. And again, encourage off virtual meetups, off work virtual meetups. What I mean by that is, it is not until you have work before you engage your employees. No, you can have a fun time, like just in a department, say, hey, guy, we are going on Zoom to have a Zoom party. What are we doing party for? Just to celebrate ourselves and catch up, okay? You can spend 1 hour, chat, gist, how are you doing? How is life with you? You laugh and everybody is fine. You all go your way, okay? Very, very important. So it's not only when you have work that you now have to call employee. No, you can engage them, okay? Do surprise call-ups to them. And I'm talking to managers here. Do surprise call-ups, ask after their welfare, how they are doing and everything. I mean, that's all. How many of you know that this can even make them to feel very happy? At times when people are not physically at work, their mind may not be at that work. But communication is the only way you can draw them and bring that relationship, that collegiate spirit together, and also ensure that their KPIs are clear to them and reinstate it from time to time. This is not the time for slave and master relationship. This is a time for collegiate spirit to be stronger. Very, very important. And again, drive your team engagement virtually. This is very important. What I mean by driving the engagement is, at times, you may need to even engage people and know what they are doing and help them to achieve it virtually. So this is just an advice to us, okay? So I think that is the end. I've taken more than necessary time, forgive me. I'll be glad to take questions now. Over to you, Nafisa.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Yemi. While we round up, I would like everyone to please share their questions on the chat box, and then Mr. Yemi will just pick randomly the questions he'll be able to answer, so that I know there are a lot of questions, so we'll know which one he would be able to answer. Thank you so much once again, Mr. Yemi, for this insightful and very, very helpful seminar. Before the question starts coming in, I'll just quickly round up and then give a brief of what he has spoken about. Please send your questions to the chat box, and Mr. Yemi will take note of those questions and answer them before we round up this session. Mr. Yemi spoke about the concept of virtual work. He spoke about what actually is virtual work, the impacts on employees and the organizations. He spoke about that those impacts have social, financial, and emotional impacts. He spoke about how to manage virtual works and the challenges that come with virtual work. So please type your questions before Mr. Yemi would be able to take and answer the questions. Before that, I would also like to just quickly add that the World Economic Forum surveyed global HR decision makers that about 44% pointed to new technology enabling remote working, co-working space, and teleconferencing as the principal drivers of change. The recent pandemic has also created a fundamental shift in how organizations operate. This widespread of tools like email, social media, video conferencing has enabled us to get work done without geographic constraints. This seminar is really important. We will share the PowerPoint document for you to be able to learn more from it. Over to you, Mr. Emi. I'm sure there are some questions that you'll be able to answer from the chat box. Thank
Okay.
you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Nafisa. Okay, thank you, doctors. Thank you, Atara. Iris Irumba.
I'm sorry to cut you, Mr. Emi. Sorry, I have a very important announcement to make before you continue.
Okay.
Please, I would like everyone to listen to this announcement. We would like for everyone at the end of this session, after Mr. Emi has taken the questions, please, I would like for everyone to drop in their full names because we would send out certificates of attendance for this seminar. So we would like to have your full names because your names on your devices, someone's name is like Infinix or something. So we'd like to have your full names, please, at the end of this session on the chat box so we can send out your certificates. Thank you very much, Mr. Emi. Over to you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Nafisa. So Iris Irumba, I don't know if I pronounce your name very well. Many HR managers are exhausted for taking care of employees. Kindly share tips on how they can refill their cups. Okay, you know why HR take the role of the line managers. It is not the responsibility of HR to take care of all employees. That's the truth. It is for the line managers to be empowered to do that. So what you can do, Iris, is to ensure that line managers are empowered to engage their employees and to take care of them. That brings less job on the HR manager. Okay, that is very, very important. Make sure you have a session with the line managers for them to know the value of employee engagement and employee experience. And to a large extent, the workload will reduce. And how can HR refill? Step back, take fresh air, let things run on its own. Make sure that you set things to run on its own anyway. Then you come back to the picture. Don't always run yourself with activities. Okay? I don't know if I've answered you. Kathy said, thank you, Mr. Yemi. Any productivity tools or templates you can share? Well, there are, Kathy, but sincerely, it may not be shareable. The ones that we can share, we've already shared them, okay? So I don't know, you can speak with Nafisa on that, okay? Galaxy J4, I don't know, you should have put your name there. Thank you for amazing presentation. How can one start a fresh virtual organization? Now, to start fresh virtual organization, you should do a planning. Before you do the planning, you need to first set every roles that you need, you have in the organization. You also align their works. I know the works that are virtual and the works that are not virtual because it is not all work that will be virtual. After you've done that, you should do what we call awareness. Give people orientation about virtual work, okay? Let there be awareness, let them know about the virtual work. Do the awareness, like in a tips for them to read one page, engage them maybe virtually on the Zoom. Then you have the work plan, you schedule their work. You also let them know how their work is going to be in terms of virtual work. Provide resources for them, know the resources that individuals will need right from the time you are breaking their job into virtual and non-virtual. Then you should design a virtual work policy that will help these employees so that at each time they can engage you, you can engage them. Okay? And finally, you get the management's buy-in. And from time to time, you establish a very sound communication strategy so that to keep everybody alive on this. Again, I don't know if I've responded well to your question. How can individual improve his productivity skill without going through the company's training? You should first, Abdul Wahab, do self-assessment and know your competency gap. Once you know your own competency gap, you can choose the training. There are 3 ways to improve yourself. Number 1, you can do self-learning, okay? Number 2, you can do experiential learning. That is learning from someone that is experienced to take you through, okay? Number 3 is to do the regular open course learning for yourself. But the best I always advise people is to do experiential learning. That can help you to improve on your productivity skills because people in that space can share their experiences with you. Okay, again, I don't know if I've answered your question, Atere Abdul Wahab. Ellen Ruto, wonderful discussion. Thank you very much for that. Victoria Okuwe, how do I handle a CEO that gets too involved in our work? If he calls and you don't pick, once it gets very angry. Virtual work for me now is exhausting because I have to be online 24/7. Thank you for that, Victoria. One of the things that happens to so many of these CEOs, I must be very honest with you, is that they want to see people physically. It's a face for them. Many of them are struggling with this virtual work. You know, many of them like to come to office and they see people running around, you know, falling head over heels for them and all that. They will get over it after some time. However, it's also good to keep your device very close to you. Or immediately you see the call, return the call to him immediately and let him know that, oh, sorry, you were away from your phone. And don't make that to be a consistent thing because it may show that the person is not responsible. So please, that is very, very important. Again, I don't know if I've responded to your question. Joseph Okoro, thank you for the well-articulated presentation and thank you for this invite. Do you have any platform or software that could enhance its future work or virtual work? How best can we communicate and convince management to key into this paradigm shift? Okay, I'll answer the last question, and the first question I will refer you to Nafisa, and the last question is, how do you communicate and convince management? You should build a business case for virtual work. And how you can build the business case is to make them see the value, to make them see impact on the job, make them see impact on employee reasons. Okay, why this should be adopted. You need to build a very proper business case. And that business case will help you to engage the management. Again, if you build a very sound business case and they are not buying into the business case, I am afraid you may have at a point to just say your prayers to God and let them run things. Okay? I don't know. You snubbed my question. Atere Wahab, I don't know if I answered your question. I called your name and I answered your question. Okay, disciplinary actions are hard to manage virtually. When you can't do face-to-face meeting, any tips? What do you mean by disciplinary action? The truth is, so many things we consider disciplinary, like coming late. I don't know. If disciplinary action now that I see is reckless abandon of tasks that you expect people to do and they refuse to do it, you can send query to them virtually now via email. They respond. And if you need to place them, you know, suspension is you are deducting their money. If that is what you have to do, but it's not legal to do that, so you sanction applied to them based on your action grid and your disciplinary process. That's one of the things you have to do, Diane, because people are not there physically. You are not going to beat them with cane. Definitely, it's you query them. If you're not satisfied with their query, you set up disciplinary action for them, which you can do virtually. And if they are found culpable, you check your sanction grid, you apply it. So it's still the same. Okay? We're running with time. How can employee reduce pressure and excessive work with limited working virtually? Victory, Mbatu, I don't know how that can happen for now because the truth is the work demand is increasing. The only thing is you can't run away from your work. So the only advice I will give to you is to be able to prioritize very well. You know, prioritize your tasks so that you know the ones that are important to do them on time. The ones that are not important, take your time so that you don't have that pressure on you. I don't know if I've answered your question. Eileen said, do I have LinkedIn profile? Yes, I do. Let me type my full name. Okay. You will see this same picture you are seeing is the one you see on my LinkedIn. Okay. That is for Eileen Ruto. Okay. Oh, sorry. Let me type it again. Sorry, it went to someone else. Okay. So the same picture is what you will see. Ellen? Then, okay. Michael Shodunke. Michael Shodunke is a very wonderful friend of mine. I'm so happy to have him here. He's known worldwide. He's a very good HR person. He has very wonderful materials, okay? I'll take Michael Shodunke's question. How can virtual and augmented reality impact learning in non-standard applications such as soft skill development? Will virtual reality be a permanent substitute for real life experience? The last question is yes. Virtual reality is improving. People are doing projections into real activities. So virtual reality precedes real life experiences. Virtual reality is a test ground for what can be seen in the physical and the real life. So the truth is this, virtual reality is assuming a dimension ability. So what that tells you is that virtual reality precedes real life experience. So it's becoming like a norm to have a virtual reality. Now you ask that how can augmented realities and virtual realities, their projection into the depth of human minds, okay? And again, when you say non-standard application, so that's soft skill development, what it does is it helps you to mimic what, I don't know if I get that question very well, but virtual and augmented reality has serious impact on learning. They take you to what we call the artificial world, to the artificial knowledge base, upon which you can build the realities of knowledge. So we have seen that happen in so many instances, and it's been demonstrated. If I get a video on that, I can share with you, Michael Shodunke. Okay, so I want to thank everyone for having me. I don't know, do you all enjoy the session? If you do, just let me have your yes before I set the stage for Nafisa to take over. So if you enjoyed the session, let me hear your yes. Okay, thank you. Toyin Lasaki, good to have you. Joseph, good to have you. Kenneth, you are here too. Good to have you. Omobolanle, thank you all. I'm honored to be here. Michael, good to have you guys. Okay. And once again, don't forget ITM supports development and design of virtual workspace. So over to you, Nafisa. Thank you. I'm done from my end.
Thank you so much, Mr. Yemi. This was really insightful and a very good learning curve for everyone. I'm sure I'm speaking on everyone's behalf. Thank you very, very, very much. I would like to reiterate to everyone here, please kindly drop your full name so that we would add it to the mail that will be follow-up mail that will be sent to you with your certificate alongside with the virtual work policy. Thanks to Mr. Yemi once again, and the copy of the offer letter. The PowerPoint slide will be included in the mail as well. Please don't forget to fill our feedback form that will be sent with the mail as well. Thank you so much for attending this. Thank you, Mr. Yemi, for this very insightful seminar. I would like to pass it over to Ms. Habiba, who will take the last word before we close the meeting. Thank you very much. Sorry, I think I need to unmute you. Just 1 second. Okay. Yeah, good to go.
Okay, thank you very much, Nefisa, for a great moderation session. And big shout outs to Prof, my favorite facilitator in Nigeria right now. Very great session. I really learned a lot. I can also see a lot of people have learned a lot. And we have our colleagues from Tanzania, from Rwanda, from DRC, from South Africa, Angola, They have all joined us and they're showing support, and they've been very interactive and asked so many questions. And we're also thankful to everyone that has followed us on social media, has interacted with us on social media. They have given us their feedback, and we hope that we can keep giving you something that you're asking for. I really appreciate each team member that has put in a lot of effort to make this possible. Evelyn, Joshua, Gozier, Trezor, everyone on the team has been amazing, and I want to thank each participant. Without you, this webinar would not have happened. But I want to also stress that because of COVID, we're going to keep doing our webinars. And once COVID is over, by God's grace, we're going to resume our in-house seminars where we're going to bring Mr. Emi back in person, and we can hopefully do more than we have done now. Thank you so much. I really appreciate each and every one of you. I appreciate my team members, and most importantly, I appreciate Mr. Emi for giving us his time and expertise. Thank you so much and have a good one. Bye.
Thank you so much, Madam. Thank you, everyone. Would like to close this session now. Thank you for joining. Would expect to have you your names on the chat box. Have a great day.